So what does all this mean for the future of renewable energy in the UK? Well, let's get a view now from Honorary Senior Research Fellow at the Energy Institute for University College London, Dr. Paul Dorfman. Very good evening to you. We've heard lots about wind and wave-generated energy before, but not so much about this turbine advanced. How important could it be?
It's very important and very encouraging. As has just been said, the beauty about tidal is that it's entirely predictable and it's largely unrehearsed. We used to be ahead of the pack maybe more than a decade ago, and then the research has left. But Scotland is now the leading proving ground for tidal. So this is a very, very good news indeed.
As you say, the one thing about it is predictability. You can't necessarily predict waves, you certainly can't predict winds, but here a turbine which just is driven by the ebb and flow of the tide, seems to me you can count on it better than most renewables.
Yeah, there's the conceit that renewables can't do it, which is increasingly shown to be, not really quite the case. The reality is, happily, the renewable evolution is coming over the hill. The cavalry is coming over the hill to help us with our significant energy problems, and tidal is hopefully will be a significant part of the solution.
Just at the moment, I mean, give us an idea of how much renewables make up of our energy requirements at the moment. I mean, it is certainly increasing, but it's by no means even anywhere close to the majority of the energy provided in this country, is it?
That's absolutely true. The thing about renewable is that it's an evolutionary. It's the next coming thing. Germany, the strongest economic, scientific power in Europe, has said, well, this is what we're going to do. The German Energiewende, the German energy turnaround, where they switch off all of their nuclear in about 6 years' time and go for full renewable, not just electricity, but energy, full renewable in about 30 years or so. We're talking about long-term planning here, shows the way. And in a sense, this shows what awaits us, as it were, at a time that we're worried about energy, at a time that we're worried about climate change. The reality is the renewable evolution is certainly coming. It isn't here yet, but this is one very good example of what it might be. And for example, let's take, say, Hinkley. A very recent report by the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit tells us last week that 4 large offshore wind arrays and some demand-side management will provide us exactly the same power that we would possibly get from Hinkley Point.
So is it perhaps a sensible option the Prime Minister take to have another look at Hinkley when clearly renewables are gradually starting to fill the gap from some of our traditional energy production methods?
Clearly, we have to do without coal, and nuclear does seem to be not very cost-effective and problematic in terms of for a number of reasons. The reality is that certainly onshore wind and within a decade offshore wind will be less expensive than nuclear, and you don't have any of the waste, you don't have any of the problems that are associated with nuclear either. So it really does seem clear that the new Plan A needs to consider where we will be in 10 years' time. We don't necessarily want to be caught out to get stuck with old technology. We want to look to the future for ourselves and our children.
And is this wave turbine project, could this be one of the big answers? Could this be perhaps more dependable, more sustainable, more renewable than others which we've seen up to now?
Certainly, tidal is the beauty of tidal is that it's predictive, is that you know exactly when you're going to get the power and how much power you're going to get, and this is just the first. This is largely not developmental because it's actually supplying power to the grid. But this is the first, proof of principle, as it were. But the notion that, we understand that renewables can be intermittent, but the reality is that both in winter and in summer, the sun shines, the wind blows, and when that doesn't happen, you can get good backup. You can switch on very quickly gas backup. The problem with nuclear is that it has to run all the time, so you can't switch it up and switch it down. You can get good gas backup, and if you look at energy in the round in terms of demand-side management, energy efficiency, and key to this is grid upgrade, how we throw power across distance, then we really shouldn't have a problem.
Encouraging words. Dr. Paul Dorfman from the Energy Institute at UCL in London. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.